Yes, sir.
All right. Yes. Good evening, Council. Welcome to the special call session.
Yes.
I'm not going to do it. The Wednesday, July 26th special call session. Madam Clerk, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please confirm we have quorum.
We have a quorum, sir.
Great, and I'll read our welcome and then go to invocation with Commissioner Barton. Welcome to the City of Belle Isle City Council special meeting. Agendas and all backup materials supporting each agenda item are available in the City Clerk's office or website at www.belleislefl.gov. If you're not on the agenda, please hand the City Clerk a completed yellow request to speak form. The Council is pleased to hear relevant comments and has set a 3-minute limit. Rosenberg's Rules of Order guide the conduct of the meeting. Order and decorum will be preserved at all meetings. Personal, pertinent, or slanderous remarks are not permitted. Please silence all technology during the session. Thank you for participating in your local city government. Commissioner Barton, would you please do us the honor? All those rise.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. Father, we thank you for the rain. Lord, we thank you for each and every person here representing the City of Belle Isle. Thank you for the time. Father, Lord, we pray you guide us this evening and pray for the best decision made. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Council. First order of business is number 3 on the agenda, discussion of setting maximum millage rate for fiscal year 2023 and 2024. Interim City Manager Grimm, please give us.
So the background is the city is required to submit the maximum millage levy calculation preliminary disclosure form. Florida Department Revenue Form DR-420MM-P to the Orange County Property Appraiser by noon on July 28, 2023. This calculates the maximum tax levy allowed under Florida state statute and requires the city to set a proposed millage rate. The city cannot adopt a final millage rate higher than the proposed one without restarting the process and mailing each taxpayer a revised notice of proposed property taxes. The Budget Committee on July 21st meeting recommended setting the millage at 4.4018, which is the current millage. That's it.
Mayor,
Commissioner Krugman.
I move to set the proposed millage rate on Form DR-420MM-P to 4.4018 for the fiscal year 2023-2024, and have the city manager submit it to the Orange County by July 28, 2023.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion, Council? Commissioner Olin?
The 4.4018 is current millage, right?
Correct.
And what you're trying to do is submit a notice that says, here's the maximum we can charge, but we reserve the right to come back and say, hey, our budget committee's met, we've done all our budget review, and we can fall back to this one.
Correct.
Okay. If we go through the budget talks and we go through this whole process, and we come out of the budget talks saying we need an increase, then we have to wait, don't we?
Yes.
Yes.
So why wouldn't we submit the maximum and then go through all the budget talks and then come out and say, okay, here's what the new number is, and isn't it kind of like, excuse the expression, the dog peeing in the corner, that we're staking out our turf and saying we might want to raise it, but we're reserving the right to go back and say we're not going to? Isn't that what this does?
You have that ability. The only other caveat to that is that it does get put out that this is the proposed rate, and it is mailed to all the taxpayers, so there may be some people thinking that that is the rate that you're going.
Well, okay, let me mull that over. I'm sure everybody else has got something to say too, so.
Commissioner Ball, so your hand up, and we'll go with Commissioner Shaw.
Putting out we are not raising it whatsoever sends a very strong message to the whole world that we are tax friendly and we have no intention of raising taxes. Basically, the loudest message we can put out there to say we're going to be tax favorable. If you put out the max, and it would be nice if, we should probably identify how much money that means, for each mill, how much, dollars that is to the city. But if you put it at, say, 2 mills, you're going to tell the world, conceivably, we could raise it by this much. So you're going to create a lot of concern out there and worry about whether we're going to do it or not, because it gives us the license to do it. So taking that away from ourselves swears to the whole world we're not doing it. So there's a very positive message in doing that. There's possible negative message by saying we will. But on the other side, if we turn out we need it and we didn't ask for it, now we got to find another way. There's nothing we can do as far as raising taxes. You don't have that option. So you will either borrow or figure something else out, have a car wash, I don't know. You're not getting it from taxes.
Mr. Shaw.
Yeah, I kind of agree with half of what Commissioner Gold said. If we lock ourselves into the 4.4018 now and can't increase it, something serious happens in the city, terrible hurricane knocks down City Hall. That's the worst case scenario. But then we're stuck with what we have. If we put out the information and say, okay, this is our proposed in all caps, millage rate for next year. This is not necessarily what the final result is going to be. But if we don't, then we're locking ourselves in for a whole year. I have no problem with putting out a higher number and end up, everything goes well, and we end up good at 1.4018. Same within our old budget, so to speak. But I think it's a lot of the confusion is for people who don't really understand, and the rest of the citizens of Belle Isle, you're probably not going to like me for this, but it's a matter of understanding. If we say we're going to 4.6, then automatically the world says, "Oh, you're raising our taxes." Well, we're not. We're just saying we have the ability if it's absolutely necessary. So that's where I stand.
That's fair.
I'm a little confused because this was brought up at the last meeting, and we could have decided that at that meeting, but I think what was decided was that we would allow the budget committee to review it on the 21st, which they did, and this special meeting was called for us to either take the point and the suggestion of the budget committee or decide against it. But I feel like we're all talking about it as if it was the first time, but this is what caused this meeting, right? After we had the budget committee review it.
That's affirmative. Right. We were supposed to take the counsel of the budget committee and then make our decision today.
But make one correction to that, what Commissioner Hall just said. This is the last meeting. Shouldn't have been discussed in the first place, because in June 18th, this should have been proactive. This should have been on the agenda for July 18th, or whenever our last meeting was in June. Means that we didn't have a July 4th meeting. People forgot, no discredit to the city manager, but people forgot that this is coming up and we have to do something. So when it came up at the last meeting, it was like a surprise to the whole city, surprise to the council and everything. And they requested a motion, and we don't do surprise motions, so that's why we're having this meeting today, because it was brought up last meeting to have a special meeting for this millage rate increase, if that makes sense.
Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Your Honor. I don't believe in raising taxes unnecessarily. However, I don't believe in tying our hands. I believe that we should propose a figure that allows us flexibility and then do our best to come in exactly where we're at.
Okay, council, any further comment on the motion we have on the floor by Commissioner Carrico? I'm sorry, I didn't write fast enough. The second was by Commissioner Parton, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Great.
Yes, I got a comment to make, please.
Yes, sir.
The way this was handled from the last meeting, we understand how it came up, why it came up, and now why we're discussing it here. We have a budget committee that's recommended keeping the millage rate at the same 4.4018. They didn't have any chance to look at it. They didn't have any chance, like us, look at any numbers. If we were going to go up, how much would be a difference? What millage rate, if we were going to go up, and what rates, how it would affect everybody's household. I think it's based on the last meeting. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel we're doing the city a justice, because the last meeting wasn't being broadcasted, even though it was being recorded. And to me, I think that was it doesn't show transparency. The second item I wanted to bring up is that, you know, we had a city manager for the last 5-6 years, and to some people, they like to badmouth him. To other people, he did great for the city, fixing the things that weren't fixed in the past. I'd like to put on the record that, okay, he's gone, and I don't want to talk bad about anybody. It's non-ethical, even though I heard that's what happened in the budget meeting. I do not like the point, I hate saying no disrespect to the interim city manager, but I do not like the point that we don't have a city manager right now, and now all of a sudden we're going to think about raising the millage rate. I think we should wait to get a city manager to see what's going on, to see all the things that we've done in the past, and see how they all come about. For instance, Sienna Place, we don't know what that's bringing in yet, and other things like the red light cameras, if we could count, stuff like that. I made the motion to stay the same because I'm, based on Orange County, they're going to raise everything. If you've got a homestead exemption, they're going to raise everything 3%. If you don't, they're going to charge double, if not triple. And I know that for a fact. I've been doing that for the past, I don't know how many years now on some other property. So I'd like to bring it to council. I understand what you're saying about not tying your hands or peeing in the corner, but Orange County is charging, and we're going to get some more money. And you can't run the city for what ifs. No business runs their business with what ifs. So I'm making a recommendation, a strong recommendation, to keep it the way it is, so our residents can relax and not have to worry about it, especially the ones on a fixed income.
Council, any other comments before we go to vote? We have a motion. Well, we don't have a public comment section, and
I would allow it since we are voting this item, even though it's not on the agenda.
Would you be willing to speak for the budget committee?
well, we have first of all, let me just say this is we have a form first, so if I could still run the meeting, that would be great. 2, this is talking about a millage increase. There is no motion on the floor to do a millage increase. We did not have a public comment forum, so I didn't really see the need to talk about something that's not happening, but I'm not trying to eliminate anybody from talking about it. This is a special meeting. We're here on borrowed time, and that this isn't a regularly scheduled meeting. So if you want to hear, I would like to hear that the council wants to hear a comment that talks about a millage increase, even though we're not having it. I just thought it was a superfluous thing to discuss. But if you felt strongly and wanted to open it for public comment, I'll open it. This is to the council's pleasure. I'm just trying to run a meeting. That's all. Yes, sir.
I would like to hear from the public.
Great. Any objections? No. Great. Mr. Malone, you have the floor, as you are the only person I had that filled out a request to speak form. Ms. Altice, did you want to say something as well? And then Ms. Hovenauer, did you want to say something after he does? I can fill the form out for you. I know your address, but you're welcome to speak. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council members and the City Manager. Thank you for your time. I am opposed. I believe that you should follow what you all said you were going to do last week and follow the recommendations of your Budget Committee, which is to stay the same and not increase or put a proposed increase out there for the future. For 14 years, this city has been able to balance their budget and make do with what we brought in and not increase. Going back to one of the City Council members who did say that this community is on a fixed income, there are a large number of the residents that do have a fixed income. And they look at this very closely each and every time motions like this come up. The other is the comment about God forbid, a hurricane come through and you might need this increase to pay for it. Don't you all have insurance to pay for this building if it were to go down? I know if I got hit with a hurricane at my business or at my home, I have insurance to take care of that. I don't need my taxes to pay for a new building, okay? So I just feel that in the past, this council has been good stewards of what's been given to them through the taxes that you've been able to raise and balance a budget and still pull off what I think is one of the best cities to live in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Malone. All right. Any other public comment? We're going to close for public comment. Move on to, I'm sorry, we still need to take the vote. We have a motion on the floor. Let me repeat the motion. It is the suggested motion in your packet. And that was sponsored by Commissioner Grigno, seconded by Cardinal. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Next and last thing, Madam Clerk, motion passes 5-2. Next and last thing on the agenda, we have the approval.
Wait.
What were the 4 to 3?
Who was the third? I only heard Holohan and Shuck his names. Smith. Okay. I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, please strike that. And Smith, Holohan, and Shuck the nays. The other 4 were yeas. Motion passes 4 to 3. Yeah, that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. And thank you, by the way, for printing these out.
Yes.
Really appreciate the larger set of plans. Next, we have, just trying to keep us moving ahead of the storm that's getting worse, for approval of Commissioner Holohan's request for an extension to Zoom participation, City Manager Grimm.
Due to scheduling construction delays at his home, Commissioner Houlihan is requesting an extension for Zoom participation through August.
Commissioner Gold?
I move that we approve the extension.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Thank you.
Motion passes 6-1. Madam Clerk, please adopt the same. Motion to adjourn, Council.
So moved.
Thank you.
Take care of you.
Good meeting. Apologize for I was thinking we had a budget committee representative here. We might want to get their input, but we did fine without it.
I was here. I asked you to